y'all. If you're watching this, thank you. Also, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So I'm doing this. I'm on spring break. I have been trying to rest. I mean, I was so burnt out. I'm still a little burnt out and exhausted just because, and my eyes have been puffy. So no, I didn't even bother to really do my hair this morning, bump it or anything. So, but nevertheless, there's still plenty of things going on in the world. Okay. So I bought my tickets today. 4 Queens, 1 stage, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Shaka Khan, and Stephanie Mills. Now, I went to see Stevie Wonder back in October, and I just got lucky and got a seat. And this one, I was like, you know what? There are way too many legends on that stage for me to not take advantage of this. So it's going to be at Barclays or whatever. I don't know a lot about Stephanie Mills other than her song Home. I know she can sing. I know she was in a Wiz and stuff like that, which is a movie I could not ever get through because I found it just weird. Anyway, I know people will be mad with me, but oh well. And I know Stephanie Mills from her kind of defense of Bill Cosby throughout all these rape cases that I found just a turn off. But nevertheless, I mean, how do you miss out on Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Shaka Khan? So, you know, that's just a time to use the bathroom or whatever. But nevertheless, all right. So apparently it is news to some people that apparently Chinese merchants have been putting it out all over the internet. But y'all didn't know stuff made in China was only sent to places like Italy to put the labels in it. And because the labels were tied in there, you could say made in Italy. I was like, y'all, let me tell you something. And I didn't grow up with a lot. But one thing my mother always taught me was for us to, I still don't buy things at regular price. I refuse to buy anything at regular price. When it comes to like clothes, and I worked in retail. I worked at Antel, I worked at Old Navy. And it would be like a month later, that stuff would be marked down like $5, $6. That was like $50 at one point. So I never buy anything. Not to mention, I know how cheaply they're made. So my mother always, you know, we were always Ross, TJ Maxx kind of shoppers. We always went straight. We knew to go straight to the clearance rack because my mother was not paying full price. And we would find nice stuff. It would be quality stuff. I knew how to look for quality, but I just wasn't paying for it. Like other people would pay. So these people surprised about all these labels. First of all, I can tell you right now, there is nothing more pathetic to me than to see people wearing stuff like a Gucci hat or Gucci t-shirt or a Givenchy t-shirt, if that's how you pronounce it. You see I'm not good with the labels. Because to me, I'm just kind of like, if you have to walk around in a Gucci t-shirt or just basic kind of like cap or whatever, to me, you got the cheapest thing that they sell with a label on it. And it doesn't look good. To me, it just looks corny. You could have just gone to like Old Navy or somewhere or Macy's and just gotten some regular shirts. Like, and you know, hats. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I get it in the sense that like we live in this capitalist society where everybody's competing to show how much they have. But I am so glad that I was raised on different values for that reason. So I know how to budget my money. And like I literally have a budget for myself down to the day throughout the month. Okay? So like I'm not talking, you know, no crazy shit. Like, I'm just saying. And I'm glad the Chinese are not backing down because China has represented, as well as other countries, to the United States what happens when you stand up and call Trump's bluff. Okay? That wasn't nothing but some insider trading. They put them numbers all the way up with them tariffs. China said, I got you. And I'm going to raise them. And we're going to start watching these world markets crash. You want to play? Fine. And let me tell you something. Victor Guy, y'all can look him up. Victor, I'm sure y'all have seen a clip of it. It's Victor Guy, but his name is spelled Gao. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know if that white lady was in Australia or Britain, but let me tell you something. He got her ass together when she was like, well, you know, you're playing this game along with America and all this other old stupid, silly stuff. And he was like, yeah, we are. He's like a financial economist, and he's like, She was like, well, they're 15% of your business. He was like, we don't care. We don't care. 15% trick means 85% of their trading does not have anything to do with the U.S. They will not fall apart because of this. Okay? Okay. So that's number one. And when he said, baby, when he said we've been here for 5,000 years and we plan to be here another 5,000 years, and of that 5,000 years, the United States hasn't even existed, I said, go off. And I know because I teach history, they got a long history. And a long history going back to Confucius about how to educate and how to focus, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. You want to play numbers games, war games, lotto games, whatever they're doing in the government, let me tell you what you don't do. You don't play them games with people who start teaching their kids how to count 6 hours out the womb. How about that? Now, because we can't fade them. We cannot fade them people when it comes to numbers. All right? So anyway, good for you, Victor Guy. Shit, what the hell I look like going hard for a country that's always killing us? Anyway, all the stuff I got in here talking about made in China. I be and people like Trump have sent their jobs, have encouraged this pushing jobs abroad since the federal minimum wage was passed in the 60s, so they could basically pay people cheap everywhere else. So while they claim this America thing, those people are always in the opposite context. And just so you know, the anti-immigrant sentiment is something they promote, but really don't believe in. Like, people like George Bush was always saying that. But he was not deporting people because he, being a big business person in oil because of his father, they didn't mind taking Mexican undocumented immigrants, paying them under the table because they didn't have to pay taxes on that. Barack Obama deported more people than any other president. Y'all know that, right? Difference is he didn't brag about it. And he didn't brag about it because he didn't want that kind of press. He wanted the appearance of a certain thing. Donald Trump still hasn't deported as many as Barack Obama. Just thought y'all should know. Moving on. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying something to consider. Anyway, so the space launch where Gayle King was crying, and I told Gayle King, I said, what the hell are you going for? If it don't feel good, don't do it. Like, there's no reason. She has lived a very full life and she's still alive. So all that crying and stressing she was doing, do y'all know that trip to space was only 11 damn minutes? I said all this press. I promise you, if they said that in any news brief that I watched, I didn't hear it. And I tend to be a very good listener, but I did not hear it, okay? Anyway, I thought she was going to be up there like 3 to 5 days or like a week. I said 11 minutes? You could have just said, fuck all this shit. And you should have just made the caveat, yeah, I'm not going up there, not for 11 minutes, not ever. And just been like, fuck it, whatever. Go find somebody else rich. But I do have the same advice for her still. If it was making you feel that way, stay your ass at home. Also, Bezos and all y'all, stop acting like putting some famous rich women in space is doing something for the cause of women. And this is what I mean when people play with stuff. But I mean, white women's idea of feminism has always been different from black women's, but nevertheless, that's nobody's feminism, okay? Mae Jemison, the first woman of color in the world was the first woman to go into space, okay? Look her up. Mae Jemison, who was trained as a doctor at Cornell, applied to NASA, trained as an astronaut. Ellen Ashua became the second. She is a Latina American, and she went up a few years later, but this was all in the 90s. Went into space, and they were actual scientists, okay? Actual trained astronauts. So putting celebrities in space, fucking up the atmosphere that's already killing us and making us sick is not progressive. And it's also taking away from the people who actually work hard to be able to do that. Because we all know being an astronaut is nobody's easy work. Okay? There are women all across this country who apply to NASA every single year. And I'm just talking about women alone, people in general, who are qualified and don't even get to work there. Forget being an astronaut, work in any capacity for NASA because the competition is so stiff. So all this stuff is honestly, with this 11-minute launch, is poor decision making about the environment. And this is also what happens when capitalism is unregulated. That all you have to do is be a rich con artist who has moved around, exploited people left and right, like Elon Musk, like unethical people like Jeff Bezos, and you can do what you will. Like Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, one of the major news sources in this country that represent this country's form of news. And we're supposed to believe that we can actually have objective journalism with CBS caving. All right? You know, and with Columbia University caving. Shout out to Harvard. Harvard told y'all could kiss their ass. And you know what? And it's a complicated thing. Not because they said no. They were absolutely right. What the hell they need with that $9 billion? $9 billion ain't shit to Harvard. It's not. Now, if this was a HBCU, it mean everything. But that ain't the point. They said, we're not doing that for them federal dollars. We're not, because we don't need them. See, that's the problem. All the people that are benefiting, most of the people that benefit directly from unregulated capitalism are graduates of those Ivy Leagues. Columbia bit because it wanted to. Now, they fired that black woman saying, you know, it was anti-Semitism and she wasn't protecting the Jews, this, that, and the other. And y'all know that's bullshit. People still have the right to protest against Israel's colonization of Palestine, because that's what it is. But they went to town on her, forced her to resign and everything else, harassed her in the workplace, did all of that. But that white man can say to the President of the United States, kiss my ass. We ain't folding, and still got his job. That's what I meant by complicated. I'm not saying he's wrong, because he's right. And that should be an example, because Columbia didn't need that money either. They didn't. And we all know this is just circling its attack on HBCUs. When they say DEI, they mean anything that gives black people equal opportunity. And even then, people like Lyndon B. Johnson was saying in the 60s, he said this in Howard University's commencement speech, I want to say in 65, 67. He was like, it's equal opportunity. I realize with the bills and the laws that we pass, equal opportunity, but I don't think that's good enough. I think we have to get to a point where we have equal results. And I remember reading that, and that really changed my perspective, regardless of everything that I understand about Lyndon B. Johnson as a person historically. He was absolutely right. It's not going to be fair until you start seeing equal results. So if you have people getting their college degrees, their masters, their PhDs, but you still have a disproportionate number of white people being placed in those faculty positions while black people have to figure out other realms of employment because they're not getting hired, that's a problem. So anyway, I say that to say, with these women that went into space for 11 minutes, this is the myth of meritocracy. Okay, because I was one of those people that actually thought working hard and committing myself would eventually yield results in a way I have yet to see. And it wasn't, I was never deluded. My parents always said you had to work as hard because you were black. I could always anticipate discrimination, and it doesn't make it like always easier. The fact that somebody's discriminating against you because of things you can't help, like your skin color and your heritage, is bullshit. But it prepares you, you know? But I did think eventually I could work hard enough to be in a different kind of space in my life than I am right now. And these sort of things still trigger that. Because at the end of the day, women who are actual astronauts, these women are not. And they would not be able to go up there without trained scientists, okay, who don't get this kind of attention. So I just think that's very important in order to understand what's going on. Because I think a lot of people, I don't remember getting this much attention for I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me when it doesn't matter. All right. But anyway, I say that to say that's why we have to invest in human capital, right? Like educating your citizenry. Speaking of investing in human capital and educating your citizenry, the United States is doubling down, of course, in their lack of commitment to it. Not that it was great from the beginning. Have you checked your credit score lately and the status for your student loans? I have. That's definitely going to make us all repay them back quickly. Right? Having astronomical payments imposed by a man who had government welfare to bail him out of his poor financial decisions after having his college education paid for. never having a loan of any sort. I mean, strictly bad financial decisions. With 6 bankruptcies, is now telling us that we can't have the same kind of repayment plans that make it feasible to pay it back. And honestly, student loans are predatory lending anyway. You're 18 years old. People tell you to go to college, get your education. That's how you'll improve your life. And then you have these ridiculous rates. Meanwhile, corporations can borrow government money at like 0.0089 or something. And you have people paying 17, 14, 30% interest when they've had to get private loans because the government won't give them more. Like, and who does that benefit? The same Bezos, the same Musk, all them kind of people. So it's really just, it's disgusting. In addition, the man who got approved to run the Pentagon, everybody in Congress needs to be booted out. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody except Jasmine Crockett. Every damn body got to go because these are some weak motherfuckers. So Pete Hegseth, who got approved by Congress and was a Fox News correspondent and spent, I don't know, a few years in the Army, okay? As if people in the Army are known for being well-adapted individuals after serving, okay? And he's a known alcoholic, or a person who abuses alcohol, should I say, based on many reports. He's also known for somebody who can't keep his hands to himself via sexual harassment or physical abuse. He's known that this is just things that, come up. All right? And he was a Fox News correspondent, and this is who Trump chose to run the Pentagon. And Congress fucking approved him. Anyway, he has continued carrying out his mandate by Trump to destroy DEI in the Pentagon. Right, because we all, when we think of the Naval Academy, when we think of the Marines, when we think of the armed soldiers, the first face that pops into my mind with the camouflage is a black person's face. Because we know DEI is just all through the military. Anyway, so in the Naval Academy library, people use books. Who would have thought? All right, at their choice and their will, you keep a library for them. And they have removed our dear ancestor, Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings Her autobiography, from the shelves. Now, mind you, this is not required reading. Let me be clear. It's a library where you go in and you check out books. And, I saw Anderson Cooper's piece on it. He was like, well, in that book, she details her, racial trauma from discrimination, this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, she does. But she also talks about her experience with sexual abuse, right? And the things that kept her from self-actualizing for some years because of it. And I'm just like, this is just, and he was like, well, there's so many scholars who have just applauded her work throughout the world. And I was like, whether you say that or not, and I know people feel the need to always justify black people's intelligence, which I resent. They're pulling it off because she's black. Okay? All right? Now, this should honestly insult the intelligence of the people in the Navy Academy because they're afraid you'll read it and you'll be that influenced by it. Have y'all seen the way white people go in bookstores and walk past black shit all the time? I have, because I spend time there. Anyway, Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, in which he gives his series of pseudoscience and reasons why Jews and other social misfits or people who are not going to be part of the pure race, his justification for that stays. And 2 copies of it at that. Okay? And some more white supremacist books, but that's not DEI. Okay. All right. Hegseth says that 99 told Trump 99.9% of it is done with the extraction of DEI from the library. And Trump goes, well, get that other point out. He was like, I will. These are some dumb, no-reading motherfuckers. Okay, let's go ahead and address that. It has also made me redirect my energy into buying books as opposed to getting them on Kindle. Okay, honestly, I already have a ton of books. Okay, I have several bookshelves in my apartment. If I took my books out, I would be considered a minimalist in no time. Because that's what I buy. That's what I invest in. And it's easier to read on the train. And some white man told me this at a bar one time. I probably told the story before. And I was like, well, I can't read on the train. He was telling me about, because I was talking about how I get nauseous, but, you know, I like to read and it's difficult to do it on transportation. He was like, no, do it digitally. You have a Kindle? You have a phone? And I just felt like he was kind of all up in my business and he was a little pushy with it. But I ended up trying it that Monday. And I was like, oh, shit, this is a game changer. So anyway, so that's what I did. That's when I first moved to New York. That was 10 years ago. But the way they make shit delete, you go to the website now. Do y'all know how difficult it is? First of all, these bastards got the nerve. Do y'all realize we are only 3.5 months into this fucking nightmare? All the shit they have managed to tear up and disrupt. I just finished filing my state taxes today. And my federal taxes like 4 days ago. Because I felt like if he firing everybody, what the hell am I filing my taxes for? Shit. Anyway, do y'all know how difficult it has been this school year alone? Since January. Okay? Let me be clear. Since January. Okay? And assigning research papers this year. And literally having to tell students that the .gov websites are no longer reliable sources for information. Because it all disappeared. Then went back up with a whole lot of exceptions, things missing, like Jackie Robinson's contribution to the war sends you to a link telling you all the things that's wrong with DEI. The way certain presidential facts are even received, we are in the midst of a government coup, and we cannot pretend like this is a joke, this will fade. This man is already talking about a third term, and honestly, the limited 2 terms only happened after Roosevelt had been elected for the 4th time. They didn't want him running it. The same man they were accusing of being a socialist who was fiscally conservative. Because he knew the country needed something else. So, I mean, if people can pass laws to limit it, they can also pass laws to upend it. Now, amendments are very difficult to get passed, but the way everybody is just breaking down, caving. CBS, Columbia, CNN, when the president called all the anchors in and told them as soon as he was elected to go easy on him, this, that, and the other, give him a chance. This is his 2nd time being president. Fuck it. The president always is supposed to get criticism. What the fuck? He is a narcissist and a sociopath. He has no regard for human life. And he has never tried to hide that. Anyway, and it has all these enablers. Oh my gosh. So all it is about the man who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador, Kilmar Garcia, and the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, came to visit the White House in the diplomatic press room, you know where they had the president of Ukraine, where they disrespected the fuck out of him. Okay. They had him to America, which is already some BS. Okay. And he's like, well, I'm not going to send him back. What am I going to do? Smuggle him into the U.S.? I'm not into doing criminal stuff. Baby, you could have saved that. Because first of all, you look like you're supposed to be a Latino pop star. You don't look like nobody's president. Okay, that's number one. And here Trump is, and his cabinet, people like Rubio and stuff like that, and Pam Bondi or whatever the hell her name is. They're telling you in one breath that if you're not a citizen, it's totally lawful to deport you regardless. Because this is not your place of birth. In the next breath, in the next sentence, we are going to start deporting American citizens to El Salvador. If we're citizens, how the fuck are you deporting us anywhere? Let alone to a country we don't belong to. El Salvador, of all places, is in disarray. It's a fucking mess. Economically, politically, it's going through it. I don't know what the president, Bukele, thinks he can do with a bunch of American immigrants, but this is insanity. Forced immigrants. Trump is not going to help finance your country, darling. He's not. Hell, he's not financing his own. Everybody's getting fired to the left and the fucking right. Even those dumbass people that voted for him who now want to be pissed off. Y'all voted for this trash. And the Democrats are weak. Schumer got to go. We got to primary the incumbents. Okay? And all of this, Bernie showing up at Coachella and everything, I get it. But at the end of the day, your work is in fucking D.C. We need laws. We need y'all blocking laws. Because they passing them. They doing executive orders like nobody's business. And speaking of nobody's business, but it is everybody's business, is the presidential physical. Trump, they released his his doctor's report that he is 6'3", 224 pounds. Bullshit. Okay, he is well over 224 pounds. 6'3", maybe. I don't know, but from what I understand, Jalen Hurts, who is like the Super Bowl champion guy, he's 6'3", 234 pounds. And he plays football and he's young and in his 20s. You see how they just lied to our fucking faces about wild shit. And then they gave him his cognitive test. And, people asked him about it. And he was like, I got all the answers right. I got all the answers right. It's your basic cognitive. I just know I got all the answers right. The fuck? A cognitive... First of all, that thing is not even about getting the answers right, per se. And I love how when Barack Obama breathed wrong, we knew about it. I want people to quit. And whoever's been giving these tests is a goddamn quack anyway. Because they're the same person that told us Joe Biden was in good health. Okay, miss me. Whoever these White House doctors are not real doctors. They can't be. They can't be. They bought their certification online. So, yeah. Those were just some of the things that were on my mind. So I'm trying to enjoy my spring break. Are y'all going to go see Sinners? I think I'm going to go see Sinners. Because I like, the Afrofuturistic stuff. So I saw this clip of what's his name, Ryan Coogler talking. And even though I didn't like Black Panther 2, but I love Black Panther the first one. If Denzel is in the third one, I'm gonna go see that one. I didn't like the fact they had two nations of color fighting each other, but anyway, he said he was making it for moviegoers, and I was like, you know what, I haven't been to the movies in like a year, because I just don't. I mean, it always comes out on streaming, but you know what, it might be worth it this week just to get my mind off some stuff. But anyway, y'all be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to y'all soon.